Salam alaikum, alaikum salam. I pray you guys are having a great night. We're going to read here some philosophy on gender. Okay, and here we go. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. The principle of gender embodies the truth that there is gender manifested in everything, that masculine and feminine principles are ever present and active in all phases of phenomena, on each and every plane of life. At this point, we think it well to call your attention to the fact that gender, in its sense, and sex, in the ordinary accepted use of the terms, are not the same. The word gender is derived from the Latin root meaning to beget, to procreate, to generate, to create, to produce. A moment's consideration will show you that word has a much broader and more general meaning than the term sex. The latter referring to the physical distinction between male and female living things. Sex is merely a manifestation of gender on a certain plane of the great physical plane, the plane of organic life. We wish to impress this distinction upon your minds, for the reason that certain writers who have acquired a smattering of the philosophy have sought to identify this principle with wild and fanciful and often reprehensible theories and teachings regarding sex. The office of gender is solely that of creating, producing, generating, etc., and its manifestations are visible on every plane of phenomena. It is somewhat difficult to produce proofs of this along scientific lines, for the reason that science has not as yet recognized this principle as of universal application. But still, some proofs are forthcoming from scientific sources. In the first place, we find distinct manifestations of the principle of gender among the corpusculous ions or electrons, which constitute the basis of matter as science now knows the latter, and which by forming certain combinations from atom, which until lately was regarded as final and indivisible. The latest word of science is that the atom is composed of a multitude of corpuscles, electrons, or ions, the various names being applied by different authorities, revolving around each other and vibrating at a high degree and intensity. But the accompanying statement is made that the formation of the atom is really due to the clustering of negative corpuscles around a positive one, the positive corpuscles seeming to exert a certain influence upon the negative corpuscles, causing the latter to assume certain combinations, and thus create or generate an atom. This is in line with the most ancient teachings, which have always identified the masculine principle of gender with the positive, and the feminine with the negative poles of electricity, so called. Now a word at this point regarding this identification. The public mind has formed an entirely erroneous impression regarding the qualities of the so-called negative pole of electrified or magnetized matter. The term positive and negative are very wrongly applied to this phenomena by science. The word positive means something real and strong, as compared with a negative unreality or weakness. Nothing is further from the real fact of electrical phenomena. The so-called negative pole of the battery is really the pole in and by which the generation or production of new forms of energy is manifested. There is nothing negative about it. The best scientific authorities now use the word cathode in place of negative, the word cathode coming from the Greek root meaning descent, the path of generation, etc. From the cathode pole emerged the swarm of electrons or corpuscles From the same pole emerges those wonderful rays which have revolutionized scientific conceptions during the past decades. The cathode pole is the mother of all of the strange phenomena which have rendered useless the old textbooks and which have caused many long accepted theories to be relegated to the crap pile of scientific speculation. The cathode or negative pole is the mother principle of electrical phenomena and of the finest forms of matter as yet known to science. So you see, we are justified in refusing to use the term negative in our consideration of the subject, and in insisting upon substituting the word feminine for the old term. The fact of the case bears us out in this. The facts of the case bear us out in this without taking the teachings into consideration. And so we shall use the word feminine in the place of negative in speaking of that pole of activity. The latest scientific teachings are the creative corpuscles of electrons are feminine. Science says they are composed of negative electricity. We say they are composed of feminine energy. A feminine energy corpuscle becomes detached from, or rather leaves, a masculine corpuscle and starts on a new career. It actively seeks a union with a masculine corpuscle, being urged therefore by the natural impulse to create new forms of matter or energy. One writer goes so far as to use the term it at once seeks its own violation, a union, etc. This detachment and uniting form the basis of the great part of the activity of the chemical world. When the feminine corpuscles unites with a masculine corpuscles, a certain process is begun. The feminine particle vibrate rapidly under the influence of the masculine energy. The circle rapidly around the latter. The result is the birth of a new atom. This new atom is really composed of a union of the masculine and feminine electrons, or corpuscles. But when the union is formed, the atom is a separate thing, having certain properties, but no longer manifesting the property of free electricity. The process of detachment of separation of the feminine electron is called ionization. These electrons or corpuscles are the most active workers in nature's field. Rising from their union or combination manifest the varied phenomena of light, heat, electricity, magnetism, attraction, repulsion, chemical affinity, and the reverse and similar phenomena. And all this arises from the operation of the principle of gender on the plane of energy. Salam alaikum, malaikum salam. Have a great night.